Good morning, everybody. It's Linda G coming here to you with our great man about town, Sterling.
Good morning, everybody, or good evening, wherever you are.
Yeah. There's people from all over. So
Absolutely.
I've got the questions. Thank you to Linda, Sterling's wife, and to Dan, who sorted out because there's so many requests.
Yeah, a lot of questions out there, and especially, with all the things the world's going through right now, a lot of people asking all kinds of questions. So renewed concern, but that's good. So
Okay. So question number one, what are Putin and how do you say his name?
G.
Thinking after the attack of Ukraine? Well, they're still attacking Ukraine, but Z.
Yeah, they are. Well, two sides to that equation, because whoever asked the question asked about two different leaders. What I feel Putin, I feel a sense of confusion from him, that he thought things would go a lot easier, a lot faster. So I feel confusion. I also feel like it's almost like he has a knot in his stomach from not only all the violence, but a lot of pressure he's getting from all the oligarchs. Because I feel like they're saying like this is not going the way you promised it would go. And I think there's somewhere between 12 and 20 oligarchs across Russia, a lot of the financial power. And so at some point that's going to catch up with them. So I see, for me, it looks like Putin feels like he's in a vice, like the vice is squeezing.
I predicted several years ago, I saw him running, his own people were after him.
Yeah.
And this is the beginning of the end for him. But they even turned around an oligarch that was heading towards Sweden or Denmark in air and said, no, you can't land here, and shipped him told him he had to go back to Russia.
Good. Yeah, I know they blocked off airspace over the European Union, EU, for any kind of Russian aircraft now. So that just happened the last few hours.
Yes, yeah. I saw that. So I'm telling you, I mean, this is huge.
Now the other part of that question was about G, right?
Yes.
China.
What are you thinking of?
And what I see is he's almost like an observer sitting in the grandstand. So he's sitting here looking to see how the world plays out, how the West responds, because obviously he has his eyes on Taiwan. Yes. So he's really, for me, what G is doing is making some calculations about when should I move, how should I move, who's going to respond, who's going to back the US, for example. So I see a lot of calculations going on with G right now.
Yeah, but everybody's for Zelensky.
Right, they are.
And it's wonderful. It's wonderful to see that. They said that he went in as a Jon Stewart, a comedian, a guy about town, and he ended up being who was that? The Prime Minister of England during the war. Winston Churchill.
Churchill, right. Yeah. Well, everybody has a life path, right? And so, this is obviously on his life path blueprint to be a leader of the world and really very instrumental on the world. So it doesn't matter, how you started out, but this is absolutely on his life path. This is purpose.
It's just amazing. And the way he says, don't give me a ride out of here. Send me weapons.
Right.
He's fighting right there amongst all his people. Are you kidding? Do you think Trump would have done that?
No.
He said, go to the Capitol and cause chaos. In the meantime, I'll go to the White House and sit in my room with my hot dogs.
Right.
So, okay, here's the next question. Will Ukrainian conflict finally prove to the world that Biden has the resolve, experience, diplomacy, and strength to deal with a serious situation? Will his approval rating soar?
Yeah, absolutely. But for me, there's a couple of components to that answer, because it's not just the way Biden's going to handle the Ukraine and the world and NATO, but it's also things happening here at home, like getting the Build Back Better bill through, and Supreme Court justice, right? The new Supreme Court justice coming into play here. But a lot of these things are going to prove to the world and to the US that that Biden is really a world-class leader. So yes, I do see it. Yeah.
Well, he said, no, sucker. He's like, no, we're unfortunately poor Obama, who hadn't had much experience.
Right.
Sort of, he did some sanctions, but in the meantime, Russia went in and took Crimea. They took what they wanted.
Right.
And it's like, whoa, and now Putin is up against Biden, who we'd hope would lay down.
Right.
And he says, whatever. And I'm going to tell you something else. All this, you guys better be careful. I'm going to use the nukes. I look today. I don't see no nukes.
No, and I see a lot of ET interaction going on around that whole nuke situation, like they have over hundreds of years, or a lot of time for the Earth to stop devastation on the Earth. So that they're involved there. But I'm
Yeah.
also going to tell you something else. There's
But
something that is that's going to help turn the tide with this whole thing there. But there's something that for entertainment purposes only, right?
yeah,
The US is involved in kind of in an underground way that's going to really help turn the tides. So this has to do with weaponry and things of that nature. So,
okay.
there's some things coming.
Well, you know what? And entertainment purposes only, and
Mhm.
I'm going to do a separate video on this. But
Mhm.
I've been saying it's his own people that take him out.
Yeah, and I don't think I see them taking him out, but I do see him getting hunkered down like in a bunker, like he's got to run. So like I don't see him taking him to the death, but
No, I mean, he's
yeah,
no longer in power, taking him
that's
down.
true. That's true. And I see that he's in such scandal and such so many problems in the world that he has to hide out. So I do see that happening. Yeah.
Well, and I also felt like even if he said press the nuke button, people are going no, because
Right.
basically it's the end. It's the end for them too. You press that nuke button, it's the end for everybody.
It doesn't end well for anybody, and I think all the world's leaders already know that. So it
Well,
doesn't.
like I said before too, like Trump, he told Kim Jong-un, he says, well, our weapons. He said, go for it, Mr. Rocket Man, because we got bigger guns than you, which was like everybody likes, oh my God. And guess what he did? He kowtowed and tried to act like he was Trump's friend. Bullies you got to cross that line with a bully, and Putin's a bully.
Yeah, he is. He's a sick bully. So anyway, it's all catching up with him.
Yep. Okay. Well, the children who have developed PTSD and other mental struggles during COVID find relief.
And that was where they find relief. Is that what it was?
They find relief.
Yeah. Yeah. And, this is something that's going to be a 1 to 2 year process here. So it's not a fast process, but this is all part of their development, right? So everybody, everybody asks to be down here when they're down here.
Yeah.
And so this is all part of their life lessons. So these life lessons they're learning about the world and the pandemic and potential wars are all part of their growth and their education as they're coming into the world. So they'll get over it, but it's all part of their adaptation, their education for the world. Yeah.
Wow, that's great. Now would be a good time for the Russians who are protesting for Nominee to rise up while the Russian armies are busy with Ukraine. Will they take advantage of this opportunity to stand against Putin? Well, right now, I got to tell you, the news media in Moscow said right now there's hundreds and hundreds of police standing ground in Moscow and all the other cities. So there will be no protests.
Yeah, and I was going to say that what my guys are telling me is that it's going to kind of be an indirect underground protest. So they're going to do ways to try to circumvent the government and to try to make things more difficult on the government. So it won't be interaction on the sidewalks with signs, but it'll be kind of more covert, and all these things collectively make it very difficult for Putin to stay in power. So this is all part of a number of dominoes that are going to fall. But
I love it.
Yeah, I don't see the wide sidewalk protest, but there'll be things to do to kind of mess with infrastructure and things to make it very difficult on the military. Yeah.
Well, I had a vision. I told this a while ago. Well, before all this started, but right before it started, I had a very strong vision of Nominee standing outside like he was being released from prison. He looked weak, but he's waving and the crowd is going crazy. I can't help but wonder, it's because when Putin is shut down, they say to Navalny, now you take over.
Yeah, I see all the applause and admiration for Navalny, and I see him getting out of prison. I see him in poor health. And I do see it all being in conjunction with when all this turmoil starts to calm down. I do see all that. I think the last part of it, you were saying you see him as a new leader. I
Yeah,
don't see that,
he
but I do
definitely is
see him.
part of the new beginning.
Absolutely, that's very true, along with a number of other individuals in Russia that will surprise you, that will come forward and say, look, we weren't for this war. We thought it was crazy from the start. You're going to see some other leaders come to bear. Yeah.
Well, remember Edgar Casey said, one day Russia will be our friend.
Yeah, and a lot of it's money driven, unfortunately. But however he comes to the table, if money makes him come to the table and be more rational, then so be it. So
There you go.
maybe the fact they want a stronger economy. So
Well, off the record, it's not on here, or it might be. Is these sanctions, gosh, I don't know what's going on with my voice. Sorry, you guys.
yeah, it's dry.
Is these sanctions really going to hurt the people of Russia?
Yeah, it's a collective effect. So, these sanctions are going to start out slow, and then they have increasingly more dangerous effects on the economy and the people in Russia. They do, along with, locking down the oligarchs and their assets and not being able to fly, the European no-fly zone. So yeah, all these things collectively are going to put the squeeze on Russia. Yeah.
And maybe not being able to pay people and no food coming in, and yeah.
Right. And that's why there'll be a big uprising and a big turnaround. There will be.
People are
Yeah.
saying now, because I saw bread lines again. So,
Yeah.
okay. How do we protect ourselves from radiation from 5G?
Well, by being told not necessary. So what I mean by that is that 5G is fifth generation, next generation wireless technology. It goes across multiple frequency bands, uses in part millimeter wave. But here's the thing, that these frequency bands have been used for a long time, even by aviation. So like anything, I wouldn't advise anybody to stand really close to a 5G antenna, right? You don't want one in your backyard.
Right.
But the only other thing I would say is that in that frequency spectrum, I wouldn't necessarily talk on and hold that 5G phone to my ear for long periods of time. Right.
Okay.
So, but there's no big consequence. The 5G or fifth generation wireless spectrum, those frequency bands have been used for a long time.
Oh, did you see, what's his name that runs Telsa?
Oh, you're talking about Elon Musk.
That he let Ukraine join Starlight or Star something.
Starlink, Starlink satellite.
They're
Yeah.
attached to it now, so Russia can't stop them.
Right,
Okay,
right. Lower thousands of low Earth orbiting microsatellites.
Yes, I saw them several times.
Mhm.
Okay. This is a good question. Will sanctions against Russia have a significant impact on the amount of money contributed to the GOP for midterms?
100%.
Yay,
100%.
thank you.
And the reason is that a lot of the accounts that are now being locked out from the SWIFT system, right? The transactional messaging system, SWIFT. A lot of those, Russian-based transactions were utilizing the SWIFT system. Even they're transferring to, banks in Switzerland or other offshore accounts. So, there's hidden blessings in a lot of these things. So, the universe knows what it's doing.
That's fantastic.
Mhm.
My question is, what do extraterrestrials think or do when they are witnessing an inhuman war? I mean, it is no freaking reason whatsoever.
It is.
Greed.
It is. Remember, a lot of these things do flow back to the Akashic record. So this is not a surprise, right? Everything past, present, and future, but it's all part of almost the destiny of humankind. But through all these events, there actually is growth. There is spiritual and growth across humankind. And, even like that blessed, that 19-year-old that blew himself up on the bridge, you probably saw that story, but where there was a 19-year-old that knew he couldn't get the explosive device set for the bridge and out in time. So he allowed himself to be blown up at the bridge. Maybe you saw that news story. I don't know.
Yes.
But there's a lot of that. There's a lot of angelic actions going on here as well. So, yeah, I mean, all this is part of what's supposed to happen, but I do see a good outcome for the world as we get through this.
Yeah, and families and women and children and the fathers are saying goodbye and they're going back in there, really expecting to die.
Right.
But by God, they're gonna not let that SOB take over their country.
Exactly. So I think the question, by the way, was about the ETs. I think
Yes.
I got tracked there for a
What do
second.
they think of
And
all
they're
this?
constantly monitoring the situation. So uh, first and foremost, there's dozens of ETs interacting with the Earth right now, a species, and they will not let the Earth get annihilated. So that's one of the big things. They won't let that happen. They will shut down nukes.
Yeah,
However, they don't get involved in a lot of the some of the free will things going on, the things that are lessons to humankind. So they
yeah,
don't
they
get
won't touch
involved in
that.
every interaction. That's not their purpose. Yeah.
That's amazing. Oh, here's a good one. God, they got good questions today. Tucker Carlson, also known as modern day Tokyo Rose. How will this all end for him and those backing Russia?
Well, it's all on the same track for a lot of the things going on with the Ukraine and Russia, and there'll end up being a big turnaround here eventually. But I see, for entertainment purposes only, I see, Tucker out of Fox there within this year. So whether that's in the 10th month of the year but it looks to me like he'll be out of there because of a lot of the information coming out, a lot of the tracking of financing and how people are getting paid off in the news media. So, yeah.
Damn. Okay, so, that's good news. You heard it here, you guys. Okay. What's going on in Manhattan DA's office with DA Briggs? Two prominent prosecutors suddenly quit based on DA Briggs saying that he doesn't see a case against Trump. Is DA Briggs being blackmailed by Trump? What will happen with the two cases against Trump in New York?
Well, first off, I see them moving forward very successfully, but here's how it happens. What I do see some heavy influence coming over that office from 45 colleagues, entertainment purposes only, but there's heavy influence. Influence normally means there's money going on in the background, but I do see like two prominent successful attorneys somehow joining that New York State case, right? The 45 Trump case. And it looks like it will eventually move forward very successfully. So all of the evidence that's been garnered will be used to move the case forward. So the evidence will stand. It's good evidence. And it looks like two prominent attorneys here. It feels like a man and a woman, the two prominent attorneys. So a mix there, but it's going to move forward. Yeah.
You heard it here, you guys. Here's another one. Will Belarus, is that how you say it? Belarus?
Right. Belarus, yeah.
Suffer any consequences for their support of Putin. But I thought they haven't been supporting Putin.
Well, if I have that particular region as a Belarus is completely aligned with Russia, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. There's one place that you would think that Putin took over and they refused to send in their military.
Yeah, and I'm thinking it's the part of the country that's right next to Russia. I think it's Belarus. I'm drawing a blank now, unfortunately. But I think that whoever asked that question, that's the country that's completely aligned with Russia. So their economy is completely aligned with Russia. And yes, economically, they're going to suffer some devastation because of, the stock market and the value of assets. So they're completely connected with the Russian economy. Yeah.
So on Monday, is there going to be a lot of shock and awe with the economy of Russia on Monday? Or is he going to shut down the stock market in Russia?
I don't pick that up. So I value the question. I don't pick up that there's a timing connection with Monday per se. It's kind of an ongoing, a lot of transitional bad activity, but not a shock and awe for the stock market. I don't,
Like their money is worth practically nothing now.
Well, I think they're devalued 30% now, right now, and it's going down. So yeah, it's on a trajectory.
And it was already struggling because they're like Spain and Italy. It's very bad. And I just saw a long video. I'll send it to you. My son sent to me about the whole purpose of why Putin wants the Ukraine. It's got nothing to do with you're treating our people bad. Everything to do with oil and minerals and a bunch of stuff they just found, and they don't want them joining the
NATO
because then it's so anyway.
Well, yeah, I mean, the Ukraine was a very mineral-rich region for a lot of resources, and so that is absolutely one of the reasons that the oligarchs, as well, that was on the promises I feel Putin made to the oligarchs. We'll take back the Ukraine. We'll get
Right.
access to all the resources. We'll put money in your pockets. Yeah, so that very
And
much.
just not too long ago, they found really oil-rich parts of the Ukraine near the sea.
Mhm.
And then that's when the Russia came in and said the sea belongs to Russia.
Right, right.
And so they won't, and Shell Oil and other places came to help drill for this. And then somehow Russia made it so bad they had to go. Yeah. Okay. So anyway, it was an interesting thing that they talked about the real reason. Can you address, or do you have any insight into the neurological episodes called Havana syndrome?
Yeah, it's about all about the Havana syndrome is the question, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, every time I've asked my guys about this and they're reinforcing it right now, this is what's called high impact impulse microwave technology, but it's portable technology. So it's technology that they can disassemble into parts and ship it around like in small suitcases. So this is something that comes out of our friends, in Russia. And it's also something that I feel they're telling me was developed in China in part, but these are portable, high energy microwave weapons. So they go easily through buildings and they're very targeted. So that's what's going on. And I'm going to tell you, for entertainment purposes only, the government already knows more than they're saying, but they
Okay.
also understand that they can't completely control it right now. So they don't want to cause widespread panic.
So who's in charge of this?
Well, I feel that both Russia and China have their hands in this.
Oh my God.
So, interesting enough, I feel like the technology was originally developed in China, and then Russia kind of ran with it to kind of make it more mobile and portable. So
Right.
it's not good, but we're going to get our arms around it.
Don't
We
you
will.
love how China's playing both sides of the fence?
I'm sure they are.
First they were like, we're for Russia, and now they're like, eh. And they
Right.
also decided they're not going to lend or give Russia any money, or at least that's what they announced. But they play both sides of the fence.
Mhm.
Okay, if Ouija boards have the potential to attract negative spirits, how are tarot cards different? Why isn't tarot as dangerous?
Love this question. Well, this comes up a lot, and my guides are actually highlighting the fact again here that the issue with Ouija boards is a lot of people have their hands on the oracle, right? So you have maybe the 2, 3, or 4 people around it. That causes a decentralization of the energy and really allows a lack of focus and more prankster spirits to come in. So you invite a lot of people. It's like inviting a lot of house guests you don't want at your house.
Okay.
So that's what happens. Now, when you're using tarot cards, it's a much more focused tool, and you're working really divinely with your angels and guides. It's a very
Right.
focused tool. So that's really the difference. But Ouija
Right,
boards are
when
just,
I look, I ask a question, I ask for an answer. If you're doing Ouija, you're just asking whoever's here.
yeah. And my guides always emphasize the fact that it's the multiple people that are involved, multiple people that, like in your house, touching the oracle. That's what creates all the chaos. So it becomes a free for all. It's a free for all, and that's why you get almost anybody that wants to come in.
Right.
So,
Yeah, I don't recommend Ouija boards.
no, I don't either.
Yeah. Will 45's new social media platform be successful?
They're telling me that it's going to be around for around 12 months. Maybe it's 12 to 18 months, and then it's going to get shut down for lack of support, lack of funding, and like federal crime. So something like pushing conspiracy theories on the platform causes the federal government to shut it down.
Wow.
So it's going to be kind of around in 12 to 18 months, but it looks like somehow after 12 months, it gets really crippled. So it won't be around for long.
Yeah, and we have to protect this country, and you can't be saying stuff that's not true.
Right.
So I see, like they're saying, this is a clear and present danger.
Yeah, what I see is that somehow some national secrets like get exposed through the platform, and that's when the federal government says, now we're shutting it down. Like, because now this is not just social media, this is like corrupt media that's actually getting in the way of the safety of the nation. So
And
that,
I can't believe he would still be able to do anything after a year. I mean, they just announced that those files he took were top secret, not just sort of top secret. He got some pretty significant intel.
they
Why
were,
the hell
yeah.
did he take those with him? That's a traitor right there.
Yeah, well, he wanted them as bargaining chips for other world leaders. So,
Jesus. Oh, and some of them were gifts. Yeah, right.
like the
Why hasn't
Lincoln, by the way, like the Lincoln bust. That was a party favor.
Oh, for real?
No,
But he took it.
He took it.
He's like that, he stole from The Apprentice too. He stole from their area. Okay, why hasn't the IRS gone after 45 and everybody that worked for him that got extra benefits?
Well, I hear they are. You just don't see it publicly right now. So all these cases are all part of a very large legal entanglement that 45 is in. So all this is being researched behind the scenes, but
Right.
this also is connected, like with the New York cases we were talking about earlier, because the way things were handled on taxes, even for New York State, have implications with the IRS. So
Okay.
all this is connected. And
I also feel that, the IRS, we had bought a whole bunch of new machines. I think Clinton was in office then, and they don't work. And so our equipment with the IRS sucks, and we don't have enough agents. So that's what Biden wants to do. He wants to add, they got a big thing with hiring for the IRS and get more help, just like Garland said, you got to give me more people for the DOJ.
yeah, I still feel like they've made tremendous headway in the IRS of understanding what's going on and the legal ramifications, but they're tying it to cases that haven't come out yet.
Okay.
So,
Well, Russian soldiers turned on Putin.
I get yes, but not in a way that you're going to see it publicly. It's like slowing down missions and not carrying through missions, and it's going to be a little harder to tell. It's almost like a little bit of sleight of hand. It's like we're supposed to take over this 10-block radius, and we only went half a block in. So they're going to try. It's almost like sandbagging. So I do see sandbagging among the military, because if you're a Russian soldier, why would you want to kill one of your relatives in the Ukraine? Right?
Yes.
So, I mean, that's where I think they completely stopped dead in their tracks.
Right. And a lot of them stopped, thousands of them stopped and told everybody, we didn't know we were supposed to come here.
Right.
We're shocked, So DeJoy is planning to go against the EPA and Biden and order new postal service vehicles that are gas powered instead of electric. Will he be stopped from doing this? I can't believe DeJoy is still in there.
Yeah, well, I don't think it's that much longer, because my guys kept saying spring, right? So we got a few more months here. It's going to be spring, March, April, May. But what I'm getting is like 10% of the order will go through. The other 90% will get stopped.
Okay.
Because once they start ordering them or trying to deliver, there's other federal regulations that come up to say these don't even meet our standards for 5 years out or something. So there's like a federal mandate that's going to come down that will stop it. But they're telling me like 10% of the order will get filled, something like that.
Okay. Will Putin's followers, believers, enablers turn against him?
So it's almost like we're talking about the oligarchs here, right?
Yeah, we were just talking about this.
No, they're going to be part of the master equation that will bring down Putin. So they're all part of it. They'll turn on him, but it's only because the oligarchs are going to give up the billions of dollars. They're not going to sit through that. So, yeah.
2 glass spheres. I didn't know this. 2 glass spheres were found on the dark side of the moon during the Chinese lunar rover mission. They are larger and a different composition than other glass spheres found on the moon. Do you know what they are, and if they are some sort of beacon for ETs?
Well, I mean, I'm being told they're definitely extraterrestrial related, but what they're telling me is they're like fuel cells. So some sort of a leftover fuel cell. So it's not a beacon, I think was the question. It's not a transmitting beacon, but it has something to do with fuel and energy for ships. So you know, a lot of ETs utilize anti-gravity technology that uses a different fuel source, but they're telling my team's telling me it was a fuel cell. So
Why did Putin wait until now to threaten invasion of Ukraine? Why didn't he do it while Trump was?
yeah, no, I'm being told timing and opportunity. Remember, this is being planned for decades, right? It wasn't just a one-year
Oh,
plan
yes,
for Putin for
definitely.
decades, but Putin felt this was the right window of opportunity because he saw the weakness in the West or a weakness in Biden, and so he felt like if I'm not going to do it now, when? Like I'm not going to wait 4 more years till the next presidency. So it's time and opportunity.
Boy,
Yeah.
was he shocked. Well, and they were just talking on the news today that Biden's numbers are still in the 40s, and I see them going up.
You know, you can't rely on the poll numbers. You
No.
really can't.
Oh, but Trump's numbers were that, and he's still beloved, so you can't rely on it.
Yeah, and it requires everybody to kind of, bear up here and use logic and, really we got to like be a little more sane here. So
Right. Will the Russian troops capture President Zelensky?
I definitely see like Zelensky hunkered down. I see that. And I see it's almost like he has a limitation of movement. It doesn't look like a capture. Looks like maybe he's hunkered down in an area where they can't get out of that block or wherever he's at. But that's what they're showing me. It's kind of like he's protected, but restricted movement, if that makes sense, but not captured. So
Okay.
if that was the question,
You
the
don't
question
see-
was, will he be captured? The question was, will he be captured?
Yeah. Well, I really worry about him, and if they take his life, it's the end for sure. I mean, people
Yeah.
go crazy.
I mean, it's a very precarious
Yeah.
period right now for him.
Andre, who's an astrologer,
Mhm.
he's got these horrible aspects that actually predict death. So he's got to be very, very careful. And also death would mean there's people that want him to go. He's got these dangerous aspects. So
Yeah, I mean, it's a very difficult period. And I somehow I see him being protected. So that's not just people or angelic protection, because I'm just being told he has more of a mission. There's more of a mission to complete here. And it's just, and I'm just being told now too, that in some respects, Putin doesn't want him dead. And the reason he doesn't want him dead is because Putin already realizes that even with 190,000 troops, you can't control a whole country, the size of Texas. So there's something here where Putin wants to leverage Zelensky, like say, come over to my side, agree that you're going to help, because he has to sway the people. So there's something going on here that for me is multi-layered, and it's not.
It would definitely be his ending if
Yeah.
this man goes. And let me tell you, there will be statues of Zelensky and none of Putin.
Right.
And you know what's weird? Remember that dream I had about Trump in a glass coffin way back when, before I started on YouTube?
Sure.
And it was in a shopping center and lights were on him. And I always mentioned that Trump, the way he looked was kind of like a Stalinish sort of look. When I went up, his face was very waxy. But I'm like, wow, that's really tough. But it was like Stalin with the lights on him,
Sure.
And I often thought, could the end of Trump be because of Russia? Not dying Trump, but the end of that whole thing.
Yeah, it's an explosive amount of information that's going to come out worldwide on all of this. It'll be, there'll be books written about all of this, and it's almost like all the Watergate books, but times 10. So
Now I don't see Putin yapping, but I see other people saying he made us do this, he did this, he was helping Trump, he's this, he's that. I see everybody telling the truth.
It's going to get interesting.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Okay, do you see anything coming up next week? Ooh, is it going to be a busy week, my friend?
I do. Obviously, a lot more going on around the Ukraine, but what I do see is some very concerted, strong efforts around NATO leaders and worldwide discussions and meetings and planning. Some of it will be see in the public, so you'll see what the NATO planning is in the public. Some of it will be more covert. You won't really understand what NATO is going to be doing behind the scenes.
Okay,
So a lot of that. So a lot more going on in the Ukraine, obviously. It's going to be a slow slog here for everything going on in the Ukraine. It's going to be difficult, but don't underestimate some secret kinds of attacks that are going to take place, that the NATO forces are going to be behind. You won't necessarily know.
okay,
So
okay.
I do see some help coming there, where the world's nations are very concerned about showing their hand to Putin that look, we're helping. They don't want to say they're helping.
Right.
It's like we're going to look the other way, but there's a whole lot of there's Stinger missiles over there you might want to go grab.
I have I feel bad for the people of Russia. There's a lot of people that don't want this war. But I just saw while you were talking, I saw someone take, like one of those things that you turn off the power. I saw that go down. So Russia's getting ready to be shut off. And so, what are they going to do? No power, no money, no power.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely.
I just saw that just physically. But listen, real quick, before we go to the last question, how about Biden's pick for Supreme Court?
I was just going to say that. I took the words right out of my mouth. So that's the other thing coming up this week as I see more progress with Biden on the Supreme Court nominee. And for me, it feels like it goes through rather easily.
That's what I've been feeling.
Yeah, it feels like not only, our credentials stellar, but it feels like everybody's so concerned about a whole lot of other things. We're like, okay, that's good. We're not going to
let's put her through.
We're not going to spend weeks. And so it looks
And
like
the thing with the Republicans is they're still running the show basically. So yeah, put her in. She's just replacing that other liberal. So
right.
Okay, and last but not least, do you have anything your guides want to share?
They do. And it's kind of an interesting, more of a stern message than normally, but the message they're telling everybody to give to everybody is that everybody on the planet down here, in some sense, is a light worker. So practice what you preach. And then they said, enough said. So I think there's a lot of light workers down here that are saying, I agree to be a light worker, but I'm not sure I'm ready to help. No, you're ready to help. So that
They
means
do that too. They said to me one time when Nicole got COVID and I was so scared, and I started really panicking, and I heard him say, it's a man that talks. He says, practice what you preach. And then I thought, you're right. I need to breathe it out. I need to know everything happens for a reason and just accept the fate. Hopefully it turns out to be a good fate, but I had to stand in the neutral zone and she ended up being okay.
Exactly. So it's all the light workers out there, and a lot of people agree to be down here during this time frame to help the world. Now's the time to step up and help the world with, love and light and spiritual practices and standing in, spiritual energy and aligning yourself with the universe. So this is the time to bear up.
And all those poor Ukrainian families that are being torn apart and the absolute devastation, that is a vibrational energy, and I can feel it. I'm having a hard time sleeping, and I keep imagining great angels and Michael type of energy with the sword, blocking off the Russians, not killing them, blocking them off is what I'm getting.
Yeah, no, I get a lot of that energy as well too, is that a lot of strong spiritual energy is coming into play into the universe here to try to slow down a lot of what's happening there and minimize damage and human suffering. So it's a slog here, but we're down here to help.
But fortunately, there's a lot of YouTube people, teachers, etc. My friend Annette, she has a night that everybody's praying. And so prayer and concentration and knowing that this too shall pass. But this does feel karmic. It feels like this was supposed to happen. Like I said, several years ago, I saw Putin running for his life, and I knew that his own people would turn against him. This is it. This is exactly what I saw.
I would agree.
Yeah.
I would agree.
All right, my friend. Thank you so much.
All right.
Now,
We're
how do
getting
people
together.
get a hold of you that are on?
Oh, yeah, easiest way for people that ask, you just navigate to sterlingpsychicmedium.com and then look for the book a session tab, and it's all easy from there. So
You have a beautiful Sunday. Tell your wife I said, hey.
I will. All right,
Bye,
always good
sweetie.
getting together. Take care.
Okay. Bye, everybody.